So then, guys, we've been here for a week. Well, I've been here for a week personally. So, what we thought so far about this week so far? How far we've progressed? What are we looking forward to next week? Next week we've obviously got the big breakfast, morning brunch type organisation where we will sit down and have an event. So, what are our thoughts on where we want to be in 1 week's time? Where do we want to be in a month's time? Where do we want to be in 6 months' time? So, what are your thoughts so far, Raj?
Yeah, I think the significant part of what's happened this week is the progression in obviously what our HPC use cases are, building those up. Next week, yes, you're right. There's a big event that we're doing with Intel, so that'll be interesting to see. And also, I'm seeing the higher technology college.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so that will enable me to have about a day with local potential recruits, if not,
Okay.
in the near future, definitely an
So-
ongoing relationship that we can have with them.
Is this something to engage the youth of UAE in this?
Yeah. So I mean, from SRTIP, what we've realised is that you don't necessarily have to have one or two big bang events. We've got those. I mean, events in terms of product development, right? So as a HPC, as a service company, we're not limited to one event, are we? One product development. Yeah. So we're going to go for multiple. So even some of the smaller ones, engaging, anything. We've had discussions with SRTIP about presenting to 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds. So yeah, we can get that message across.
I mean, I've been here for a week myself, and I've noticed them at certain occasions or certain points during the week. Groups of children coming. I think some of they've been on guided tours. They get a good view of these facilities. They're a great place to look at around. They go to the different labs that are placed there. A great little cafeteria to sit inside. It's a fantastic place to come. I spoke briefly last week with Satish, and we had a conversation about SIs and your engagement with SIs. And how are you feeling now that after a week of being here and we've sat here and we've enjoyed all the ambience of this place, what do you think how the SIs would feel when they'd come to a place like this and with our engagement with them?
So I think first of all, let me talk about I'm pretty excited about the event that is coming up next week, where we will be talking directly to end customers during the breakfast event, which is obviously sponsored by Intel and SRTIP. So I'm looking forward to multiple events like this, and even a session with the system integrators to explain to them that what we are doing. So that will probably garner their interest, and they will come to know better and get a better idea of what we are into as Bikal, getting into product development and how they can go to their customers and add value to their own business itself.
I mean, that alone is obviously a very good way of working. But wouldn't this be so? I'm asking this collectively. Workshops? Is this something? This is an area where we could have workshops, or this is where we could have seminars and really engage SIs, end users into the whole premise of what HPC is actually doing.
So there were two things. We had an internal session today, as you know, around mapping out the HPC use cases, right? And going from end to end, from trial to MVP to a full development. Satish, what were the two things that we said that are needed?
I think the first thing that we need is obviously getting a customer to agree to having data. That's the main discussion point of today's session. How to get that data, and if the customer is willing to give the data, then we can work forward.
It starts, right?
Yeah, and then it starts.
So the second one?
Oh, the second one was
Challenge
statements.
Wow.
Yes.
So okay,
It's all about challenge statements. What are the challenges that are being faced by the customers in their business processes? So our discussion that we gonna talk to SIs is that pivot, from going to the IT, going to actual business users within their customer base. That's the important message that I will drive to an integrator. And when you do that, that will bring you the value.
And one of the other things that we did touch on is obviously that implementation. The implementation has to be agile. Without the agility, you're not able to you're not able to get the benefits of AI, let alone implement it.
okay.
So there's there's gone are the days where you get some big system, you put it in, and then you leave it alone for 5-10 years, and then issue another tender. This is a lot more agile in terms of you can have a weekly change, a monthly change, but you make sure that there's short time spans between those evolve.
Raj, you touched upon a very valid point about tender. I think what message we have to drive to the SIs is that this is not tender business.
You can't do an AI with a tender. You
with a
can't.
tender.
Okay.
It's the outcome of that can be a tender, but you can't start responding to a tender. That's not the way that we are going to do AI projects here.
Well, I've heard you both speak quite a number of times about creativity. I mean, now you've mentioned tenders. Now you've mentioned this. The SIs cannot be actually this whole AI. I mean, AI does not work with tenders. Okay, but where does the creativity element come into all this?
Well, the old phrases, isn't it? Everything starts from an idea. That idea can be a bad one, it can be a good one, it doesn't matter. We discussed earlier today about a specific police problem, and when we had our Mustafa, our obviously head of service delivery, an IT veteran, right, who knows obviously his infrastructure. How do you go to a traditional IT department to say, okay, the system that you're going to put in is not the system that's going to work for AI, because even your hardware has to be agile. Your processor that you use today, everyone updates their phones every 1 or 2 or let's say even 3 years. An IT system doesn't do that. These are enterprise systems, so everything from the infrastructure all the way through to the actual software that you build or the data science that you do has to be agile.